Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Business Redefined. I'm your host, Alex Mwangi. This week, we want to have a look at Dalberg's report, which has just been released, titled Kenya's Digital Economy, A People's Perspective. And with me to delve deep into this report is Dalberg's Regional Director for Africa, Naoko Koyama. Thank you very much for joining us, Naoko.
Thank you, Alex, for this opportunity.
Let us begin by you telling us what was the rationale behind this report.
Alex, thank you for asking that question, because indeed we came to this study with a very specific objective of trying to bring the Kenyan people's voice into the discussion about digital economy and digital transformation. You know, we talk that the Kenya's leading digital transformation on the African continent. It's true. And we know that many people have access to mobile services, even mobile money, which is great. But we didn't know how people are using it, for what they are using it, how are they experiencing it, what they feel, how they feel about it, what they need to be able to use more. So they really thinking about people's perspective, the understanding that we thought it would be very important. So that was the purpose of the research.
Give us a feel of the scope of this report and how long it took to prepare it.
So it took about a year, the whole study, sort of, designing what the key research questions, and then a survey and the other research methodology. And an actual survey itself took about 2 months. And we ran the nationally representative survey of about the 2,500 people, covering all 47 counties. And a nationally representative, by that what I mean is that we really covered everyone, including farmers, mama boga, teachers, policemen, salaried people, yeah, you name it. And we have actually mixed this quantitative survey, so that the survey, as well as some ethnographic research. So really trying to understand the nuance of voice of a people. So research, the study combines the two aspects.
Take us through some of the main highlights or the key findings of this report.
Sure. So the first one is that it is very positive. The majority of a Kenyan is embracing the use of digital services and the feeling that it's improving their life. And they're also on board for additional, further transformation digitally. So to give you some statistics, one is the 84% overwhelming majority said that digital has improved their life. 1/3 said that digital has helped them increase their income. And the Huduma number, it's still very new. However, there are more positive promoter feeling that anticipating this going to improve their usage of digital services much more than the people who are yet to be convinced. Number 2 would be, nonetheless, there is still a room to go. So I give an example. Like mobile money, we say Kenya's penetration is really high. Over 90% have access and they use the mobile money. And if you compare that to the country like Nigeria, big economy in Africa, they really struggle to have the mobile money in the hands of people. Right. So that's a really good start. And Kenya also have other important component of building digital economy, such as ID system, infrastructure. However, there are a couple of areas that people said, this is a bit of a concern, I need this. And unlocking that can open a lot of opportunity for a deeper usage. And in unlocking that, 3 things that we found is the one is national addressing system. So that means that the precise address in the system. And then if you think about a COVID time, I'm sure you ordered something right at home, delivered at home. And if you might have address, but not everybody has that address. And having address can really unlock the trades and commerce done at the digital spaces. We know that there are a lot of efforts undergoing by government to make that implementation, and I believe that that will really change the system and unlock a lot of e-commerce opportunities. Number 2 would be addressing the safety and fraud concern. About 90% of the people mentioned that safety and fraud are big concern as they use the digital services. Is it a lot more than other country? No, it's about the same as the, if you look at the India when they were about the same time, same digital penetration level as Kenya, we found a relatively similar number of the concern raised. However, but that doesn't mean that it's not a problem, right? It is actually limiting, say, the business owners that we spoke to. More than half of them said that they're limiting the use of digital services because of their concern about the safety and the fraud. In this space, also as a parent, parental control, the safety about what you watch, what your kids watch is also a big concern, and also my personal data. But in this area, we also know that a government is putting a lot of effort so that Data Protection Act is in place, and the appointment of the Data Protection Commissioner is a major step forward. And we believe that that can start, help moving forward into the more safer digital space. But the last one is a hands-on support, especially vulnerable. Digital, we think that it might replace the many in-person services, but no. For us to be able to use the digital services effectively, we need that hands-on support. And the number that really tells you is that the Huduma Center and an e-governance usage. So among the people who use the e-governance usage, 80% has got the support from a Huduma Center, meaning that that's been so critical for enabling people to be able to use e-governance. We talk about digital divide, and we did confirm there is some segment of people who get behind of using the digital services. And at the same time, we also found that even people we think that they are lagging behind, once they start using the digital services, they can benefit from it. They can make lives better. And the farmers, and especially female farmers, are a really good example. Some of them have received the hands-on support from an agent to be able to use the services like DigiFarm, you might know, by Safaricom. And actually not only learning about the farming, but setting the produce, realizing the increase in the income, and even raising their voice at the household, convincing husband to do farming, for example. Wow. So that it really tells the power of the digital tool in the people's life and everyone's life, not just us.
The report also delves into the issue of digital support in the agricultural space. Right. And it has some statistics about it, and some of them are leaning on the gender. Maybe might you have some perspective on that? Sure.
So women tends to have it's not just the one challenge, and women are very different, right? More progressive women, more traditional women. So the challenges they face and opportunity they see are different from people to people. But generally, we say that women tends to have a less digital literacy, so needs to learn more about how to use it to get the support. And it's not just because they don't know, but they feel not confident using it. If they make a mistake, then her husband will say, "Oh, no, why did you do that?" And then they don't want that. So there's one area like that. And then sometimes these training and opportunities happens at the inconvenient time for her. So maybe the time busy cooking the meal, maybe the time that attending to the children. So even when we think about the hands-on support for female, it's important to think about how to make that support reachable, available, convenient for her.
The report also cites that 1.2% of digital service users say that it makes their life worse. Maybe in what ways is this so? And for those that it helps, how does it help them?
Yeah, that number is very minor, but nonetheless that surprised us as well, digital making the people's life worse. And we try to understand, is there a specific segment of a people or no? And it is not really a specific segment of a people. So we can't say, oh, this is the women or this is the people living in this county. No, it's a kind of spread. Our assumption here, looking through the survey data over why the digital is making their life worse, is some of them have actually experienced the fraud or the cybersecurity issues. So they're just having that experience is making them like, okay, this really made my life worse. Another is especially COVID time, you might feel as well, being online all the time, so stressful. That was raised as the challenge as well. And another other kind of people said cost. I spent too much on digital. Yes, so no single answer except for this fraud issue about the continued effort needs to be made, and then maybe mental health needs to think about something different than the mental health 10 years ago, because given this digital, but a really relatively spread reason for why digital can be a bit detrimental to your life.
And how does Kenya compare to other countries in Africa as far as the issue of, say, mobile penetration and internet connectivity is concerned?
Well, mobile money penetration definitely higher than any other countries. In Africa, we don't see this penetrated country. I mean in South Africa now, but I just miss the convenience of M-Pesa here. And an internet connectivity, I have to check the number, but it's relatively high. But I think what's important here is to recognize one, so as these, penetration data would say, that Kenya has a really strong backbone of the infrastructure, connectivity, people's saviness, literacy, which needs to come before digital literacy, as very high, so a really good ground. But nonetheless, we want to see, like in a digital transformation journey, we want to see the next level of the penetration. So business people using the phone for doing business, not just about calling a customer or sending money, but maybe stocking, taking the stock, or making a business registry, or setting something online. And we haven't seen that as much, to the extent we wonder what's going on, because you have all these tools, all this infrastructure, and so that there's a lot of opportunity to move really fast on the digital transformation, by taking advantage of this huge, the strong backbone.
You're watching Business Redefined, and right now we take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are talking to Naoko Koyama, the Regional Director for Africa for Dalberg, and we are delving into the report that Dalberg has released titled Kenya's Digital Economy, A People's Perspective. So Naoko, tell us how effective the government's provision of digital services is currently.
Sure, Alex. The question is relatively broad, and then we can look at the different perspective. How is the government doing in terms of pushing for digital transformation for the people, or a particular service provision? There is the clear strategy, clear blueprint, not just looking at the penetration of the services, but with the vision to how to use the digital to improve the people's life and livelihood. So I think that direction being there is the big thing. But now coming to the specific, the service provision, and something we heard a lot. If I may mention three things really hard that I took my eyes really open from this survey, so the people's voice, is that the one is the Huduma number. It's not a service, but a system. Huduma number, it's very early stage, but the more people are anticipating that the Huduma number will improve their use of digital services. So 47% of the people are thinking positively, and it's still less than 50%, but it's a lot more than people who are saying unsure of the value, which is only 19%. So the positive promoter score there. So that's very positive. And then to your exact question of some of the services, I want to just really zoom into the value of the Huduma Center and Ajira Center that a government is providing and how people are feeling about it. About 80% of the e-governance users have gotten the support from a Huduma Center. And imagine that people who didn't get the support from a Huduma Center, are they using e-governance? Some of them, yes, but the criticalness of the Huduma Center enabling the use of e-governance is very clear here. And when it comes to Ajira Center supporting a youth finding job, we had a striking number, 60% of youth using digital for their livelihood, whether that's searching for jobs or doing some business. 60% of them actually do that through Ajira Center. This is really needed services, and a government is addressing. So Ajira Center definitely addressing these needs.
How are digital services helping Kenyans do more in the agricultural space?
That's an interesting question, and I've been working significantly in bringing digital services for the smallholder farmers. And I think the ecosystem has drastically changed over the past 5 years. How is it changing? It really depends on how deep the farmer can use it. Are you just using it for the, where to sell the produce? Yes, that has an impact, but that's limited. However, if you can really learn how to grow the new crop, how to use the fertilizer, how to take it to the market, how to find the seller, that if you can do that, it has the potential to increase the income 2 times, 3 times for sure.
The report cites data security as one of the key issues. How do you think this can be addressed so that we have less cases and maybe more use of digital services?
Sure. For that, I don't have a holistic view. However, I think a lot of effort is going into this, both from the government as well as the private, service providers who's trying to be compliant. And the one example is the Data Protection Act that is on the implementation, appointment of a commissioner. We see that it's we take it granted, but many countries have a kind of act, but awaiting the commissioner to be appointed. So Kenya has made this step. And the companies are really asking this question, how to comply. So I think to bring it to the life, next step is actually providing a practical support of how to comply this kind of act and regulations while still serving the people, because we don't want the regulation to have the businesses stop the business.
Naoko, as the chief architect of this report titled Kenya's Digital Economy, A People's Perspective, what is it that you hope will be the outcome of this report?
As the title say, our objective of this research was making sure that Kenya's digital transformation journey takes the people's perspective in it. And for that to take place, we hope that this research and a research outcome to be used by additional researchers to do a further, zooming into a specific point, policymakers, as well as the digital service providers or support providers to digest it and use that insights into additional policy making or implementation or service design or support provision. So that is our hope.
Give us a view of maybe some of the interesting highlights. You took at least 1 year to prepare it, but then there might be some interesting human interest stories that you came across. Tell us about some of them.
One interesting thing is with the needs of the digital money and the fee waiver, there was a surge of mobile money users, as you remember. And however, so the people started using it because the fee was removed. And when fee came back, number didn't go back to the previous, pre-COVID. Many people continued to use it despite the fee. And that just really, as an interesting economist, seeing this kind of a behavioral change, and also change in the willingness to pay for the fee through the experience was really telling. Because people were pushed to use the mobile money, they saw it's really convenient, it's just really embedded into their life. So now that even the fee's back, I'm happy to pay this fee so that I have this convenience.
You've raised an interesting issue of COVID-19 and the digital economy. Give us a broader perspective of how COVID-19 affected businesses and how the digital economy was impacted by the pandemic.
But overall, we saw that about 40-some% of people increased the usage of a digital, and I'm sure you have increased. And I worked all the time online, and then my daughters studied online, so the huge increase in the usage of digital services. However, there are fair chunk, more than 10% of the people who reduced the digital services during this COVID time, and we suspect that that's probably affordability issue, because COVID took away reduced or took away their source of income. People had to shift some money that they are spending on a digital to something else. So we saw that change. We clearly saw that the business that were already digitally wired had a surge in business. So ag-tech companies were called upon for agriculture and other purposes, deliver stuff on the rural area during this COVID time, because they're already digitally connected, while those who are not digitally connected had to reduce the business. There are some entrepreneurs who started the digitally enabled business, like delivery for the food, restaurants moving into getting a phone call and ordering, so that's quasi-digital. And at the same time, when I reflect back, if there was a, let's say, national addressing system already in place, maybe we have seen 100, 200 more percentage surge of the e-commerce, for example. And also there's a lot of a demand for learning how to use the digital for businesses. So there is a lot of appetite coming from a business community beyond calling customer or a supplier. How can I use the digital marketing? How can I use the online services to expand my market and customer segments? So this is definitely an area of the needed support. We see there are some donors and a government supporting this kind of support, but I think a continued effort could help the business to jump on the further the digital transformation journey.
Kenya's digital infrastructure is robust largely in towns and cities, but the government is making efforts to spread it evenly in other parts of the country.
Yep.
Maybe what are some of the either disparities or the challenges that you found from the households that you sampled in as far as accessing digital services is concerned?
Sure. When we look at the challenge of one accessing and using the digital services, I think it's important to look at it more holistically. Obviously, connectivity is the one important element, but that's not necessarily the element. So even those who are covered on the map, they might not be using it. It might be affordability issue, it might be electricity issue, it might be device issue, it might be more social dynamics of we only have a 1 or 2 device at home and I don't get the priority. Yes, the government's strong effort of connectivity definitely important for the equitable use, but equitable usage needs more than just the infrastructure.
What can be done to increase the usage and engagement of digital services by Kenyans?
the infrastructure in a sense of a soft infrastructure like a national addressing system, and then there might be some system to address the fraud that could enhance the people's trust. But also, and so that's one. Two is the like a really effort to address the concern on fraud and insecurity. And the third, I would say it's in-person support, sort of hands-on support. We tend to think that a digital is going to replace the something that we've been doing in person or on spot, but that is not true for many people, including myself, but particularly for those who need some help, like a vulnerable. And for them, for us to be able to use the digital services more effectively and engaging on it, we need the kind of a hands-on support to walk through it. And our numbers really tell that the story. Whether or not they can have somebody walking through it, or they can call and explain, oh, you click here, you push there, you say this, that made a huge difference of being able to use it, or either not being able to use it because you don't know, maybe because you're not confident, or because you might make a mistake and you don't want to do it. And bringing those, hands-on support is really critical to bring everybody beyond the people working in an office, everybody on board for a digital transformation journey so that they can engage.
The report by Dalberg is very detailed, and I believe many Kenyans and even people beyond the borders will want to put their hands on it. Where can they access it?
So the report is accessible, www.digitaleconomy.ke. That's a website, and it's available for anybody who wants to access it.
Thank you very much, Naoko.
Thank you, Alex.
Well, that's it for this episode of Business Redefined. Keep it NTV and see you next week.